Welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas. I've been involved in the tax lien and tax deed business for well over 30 years, and we're going to talk about how to invest a little bit of money and make a lot. So everyone wants to make more money. It's really the American dream. Everybody wants to do that. So in this episode, I'm going to give you some ideas, and you're actually going to see the whole process take place, and I'll give you examples so you get it, because this is something that I have many students do. Now, some do better than others, but this is one of those exceptional examples where I want to show you how much money can really be made. Now, can you make this much money that you're going to see today? Yes, but you got to get in the game if you're going to do it. Is every deal going to be this good? No, but every deal is going to be as good a deal as you want to make it, okay? So you're going to be surprised and delighted what we will do today. All right, so my investor student, his name is Bob. He learned how to do this, and he followed a step-by-step process that we've been teaching for many years. Now, the brilliance of what he was doing was he could have a step way above everyone else because he kept enough money in his Roth IRA to be able to do this purchase. So he's not only going to make a lot of money on this purchase, but he's also going to have it within his IRA, which means it's a non-taxable event. In other words, he doesn't have to pay taxes on his profits. Now, you're not going to get rich by next Friday, I can tell you that. But this is the way we let people know what they could really do. So this is the marketing program. This is the way that we expose ourselves to what's really happening in a business, which I've been in for, as I say, 30 years. All right, now if you'll follow along with these episodes, and there's lots of them on the channel, in a short period of time, you'll get the idea that the local governments are going to sell properties. They only care about collecting taxes. They don't care about making profits. So they're going to sell these properties with 60, 70, 80% discounts, and sometimes more than that. All right, so this program could make someone wealthy in a very short period of time. I mean, make you a lot of money. So kind of follow along with me. Now, everybody likes a story like this, and you want to strive to be able to do the same thing. And the only way that's ever going to happen is you got to get involved. You got to get into it. You got to take a look at it and see what's going on. Now, you're going to find this is a pretty amazing story, okay? But it happens every day in America. Why does it happen? Because there's over 3,000 counties that are all selling tax defaulted property. That means there's going to be over 5,000 auctions every single year. Now, in this instance, the investor student showed up at the auction, and it was a property that was worth a little less than $50,000, and the student is going to invest the minimum bid to start the auction. However, in this case, even though it was a single-family home that looked okay, now, it was slightly used and abused, it hadn't been taken care of in terms of the lawn, and was painted and cleaned and all that, but it wasn't a dump, there wasn't a broken part on it, there wasn't any leaking roofs or anything like that. So the property's worth approximately, according to the tax assessor, $45,000, and the minimum bid was less than $3,000. Anybody that showed up for the auction could have bid on that property. He ended up buying the property for $2,902, and he did that by writing a check to the treasurer of that county. All right, now that left a lot of margin from the basic price where he bought it to where the actual maximum price to sell it. Now, they can sell it. You can sell it any way you want. If you bought it for $3,000, you can sell it for $10,000 if you want. You can do what you want with the property once you have it. But the point was, he wasn't in a hurry. He took his time. He bought it. There were other people at the auction. They did not bid on the property. Am I going to tell you the whole story why they didn't? I don't have time on this thing, because right now we're trying to go through and answer the question, how to invest a little money and make a lot. And you're going to see that. Now, as I say, this is happening across America. There's nothing new about this idea. It's been going on for 200 years. Now, what's really happening is a treasurer is trying to collect the taxes on the property. Can they get that money? Well, in many cases, they can't get the money because the people abandon the property or they refuse to pay. So the sheriff, along with the treasurer, comes along and seizes the property. And then when they seize the property, they're authorized by the legislature and the board of commissioners and so on. They're authorized to go ahead and sell it into the market. All they want to do is collect the back taxes. Now, you got to pay attention to find these auctions. They're in every single county. I don't know if you're going to get the exact one that you want, but you got to get in the game to get in the kind of deals like this. Now, I have clients that have purchased single-family homes for less than $500. Matter of fact, I had one man in Georgia, he bought a property for $316. And he called me up, he said, do you think it's legal? And I know it was legal because he bought it at a municipal auction, and that's all they wanted was $316. Within weeks, he had that property rented for $6,000 for the year. So that was a lot of profit to be made. Yes, he did a little bit of cleanup and paint, but where are you going to get a house for $300? I don't know. It had no mortgage on it, of course. All right, now my name is Ted Thomas. I've been involved in this business for over 30 years. I'm a guide, I'm a mentor, I'm a coach. I've taught lots of people to do it. This business is not going away. It's been around for 200 years. When I discovered this business, I never looked back because I could see that you could buy for better than wholesale price, buying for 10, 20 cents on the dollar, and then you could sell it for any price that you wanted. Now, if the price was $45 or $50 or $100,000, it was up to you to decide what you wanted to sell it for, and you could do exactly what you wanted with the property. All right, now how does this work? Well, basically what happens, people default, the county forecloses on the property, they resell it at auction. These are public auctions. Anybody can go there. Now, why are they selling these properties? Because property taxes are needed by the county. That pays for the police department, pays for the fire department, pays for the school district. You're getting the idea. Pays all the county employees, pays to fix the roads. The point is they have to collect property taxes. And if the people don't pay, the treasurer will confiscate the property and then resell it. And when they resell it, they actually cancel the mortgage on the property. All right, now the treasurer is only responsible to the legislature and to the Board of Supervisors. So they're authorized to do this, and it's a process that's been going on for well over 200 years. All right, I didn't create the system. The state legislature created it, and they have the Board of Supervisors, county commissioners, and treasurers will make sure it's executed and these properties are sold at the auction. All right, all the auctions are public. Anybody can show up. Okay, the highest bidder always gets it. The highest bidder gets it. All right, they're going to auction the properties off, and they're going to do as many as they can. They're only trying to collect the past overdue taxes. So for them to sell a property for 10, 20, or 30 cents on the dollar is not unusual. Now, this is just a part-time business that anybody can do. Now, when they have the auctions, they're going to announce those. They'll announce them in the county. They'll announce them in the newspaper. They'll put them on their website. They don't actually announce them nationally or even throughout the state. They just advertise in that county, and that's advantageous to you. All right, so here my client learns how to do it, shows up at the auction with less than $3,000, purchase a property that's tax assessed at $45,000. All right, so once he owned the property, they got a deed to the property. No other bidders came forward. Nobody else wanted to buy it. They all just stood there and looked. They probably didn't have an auction list, or there was a lot of reasons why they didn't buy the property. All right, now keep in mind, the auctioneer only wanted the back taxes. So the back taxes were $2,902, and that's what he paid for the property. Now they can do it what he wants. So he cleaned it up, he tidied it up, made it look good, pressure washed the outside, cleaned up the inside. The house was fully furnished. There was actually a car still parked there, and there was a boat in the garage. You're getting the idea. So he spent a little time and money fixing it up. In other words, money to clean up the landscaping and whatever. Now, the first buyer that came along wanted to have an installment sale. In other words, the new buyer came along and said, I'll buy the property at your asking price, which was $45,000. I'll buy the property, but I wanted to put a down payment, and then I want to pay $500 a month. All right, so my client investor said, all right, fine, and they created a contract of sale. How did they do that? They just went to a title company, and the title company will have documentation. They'll fill it out. All right, you fill out the documentation. Now, if you wanted to, you can go and have a real estate attorney do that, or you can do it right at the title company. Either way, you have a legal title to the property because you got it from the county. So let's look at the deal and see how it worked out. The question that we're answering and discussing today is how to invest a little money and make a lot of money. So we already talked, the purchase price was $2,902. The selling price was $45,000. All right, now, we had some expenses, so all of that wasn't profit. Now, the expenses to fix it up and to buy it came to round numbers $7,902, just to make the math easy. So the profit on that property was $37,098. Now, folks, Would you invest $3,000 to make $30,000 or $37,000? Well, of course you would. Now let's add to that, because there's two profits in the deal. What's the other profit, Jed? Well, the other profit is they sold the house with installments. If you add up all the installments over 10 years, that's $60,000 that's going to come in, and the selling price is $45,000, so there's another $15,000. So now let's take the first profit and the second profit and add them together, and you can see it looking at your screen, $52,000 on a $3,000 investment, $2,902. Now, folks, this is just an example. I'm not trying to say this is the perfect way to do it. I'm not an attorney. I'm an investor just like you're an investor. I'm a teacher. Yeah, but this is the kind of business where you can invest a little bit of money and you can make a lot. Now, I'm going to button it up right now. If you do go to these auctions, what you want to do before you go is you want to look at the property before you go. In other words, you want to have boots on the ground. You want to make sure you've looked at this property. What if there was a fire? What if there was a flood? What if there was a hurricane? What if it was next to a pig farm? I don't know where it's going to be, but you want to make sure you've looked at it, because if it burned down, well, you got a problem on your hands. What are you going to do with a burned out property? So you want to make sure that you've checked it out. Additionally, don't get into a bidding war and start pushing the price up. You want to know what your sales price, in other words, know your exit strategy before you buy. So I want to evaluate a property. I look at what they're going to sell it for at auction. All right. Then I say, what could I sell it for later? So I don't try to get full retail. I buy it low and I sell it low. My name is Ted Thomas. You can go right below me for a free gift.